Guys, I'm not kidding when I say I almost ran out here when I saw I had a window in the weather to film one of these videos outside with my feet on the ground again. It's so fucking good. It's been raining, it's been windy, it's been terrible for weeks now here in Victoria, Australia, and we've now got half decent days. So let's do this thing. Now today I want to talk about nature over business, and I want to talk about why so many entrepreneurs were crushing it and are now slipping and gripping. And what I mean by that is they are falling. Things used to work beautifully and now none of it's working anymore, and they're grasping, trying to get back to where they were. I had this exact same experience earlier in 2022 or so, 2023 actually, majorly. Everything started to slip, everything started to fall. And I couldn't understand why. And then what ended up happening is I started making these shifts, and I realized now in 2025 where I am, if I didn't make these shifts in my business back then, I'd be fucking toast. I'd be absolutely done for. So we're gonna rip into this right now. So what we're gonna look at is we're gonna look at a low entropy system versus a high entropy system. And this is a fundamental law of the universe that we cannot deny. As much as we try to deny it, as much as we try to keep everything in our lives so structured, so rigid, so held together, we're actually working against nature when we're doing this. So we've got a low entropy system over here. Now, a low entropy system is something that is beautifully ordered. And the law of thermodynamics is that a system, a low entropy system, when left alone, over time, will inevitably turn into a high entropy system. Now, Brian Cox does a beautiful example of this on YouTube where he talks about a sandcastle. A sandcastle is a low entropy system, and that low entropy system over time gets turned into a sand dune, gets turned into a high entropy system. So when we look at a high entropy system, it is less ordered, it is more fluid, it is more natural in its process. And when we look at a low entropy system, it is built up, it is a skyscraper, it is perfect systems. But here's how it all applies to business. When you have a business that is reliant on rigid systems, then over time, those rigid systems will, through the natural law of thermodynamics, don't shoot the messenger, those systems will break. And the reason that they will break is because the low entropy system needs to be held together with an external force. So you can spend all of your time being the external force that goes against nature to hold a rigid system together, or you can save yourself a lot of fucking energy by not going against nature and instead being a high entropy system. And what that means is building looser systems, more fluid systems that are a structure but nothing too rigid. This is the same when we look at teams. When we start looking at the companies that we work with that are running 7, 8, 9-figure companies, they've got these teams, and they've got all of these teams, and they're all dedicated in their specific spots, and they're all lined up perfectly. Over time, people inevitably go their separate ways. They turn into a higher entropy system. People eventually end up separating from one another because it all expands apart. So again, you can spend your time having regimented team and always having to put all of your resources into having the team perfect, or you can create a dynamic team, a smaller team, a more fluid team from the get-go. Now, what does this look like? Well, it's funny on YouTube, if we look at like content creation, people these days have this obsession with being like, create this type of content and have it go like this and have it go like that, and then schedule it in like this, and then every Tuesday do this thing, and then every year do this thing, and then have the system, and then have your setters for your coaching and get them to set in this, and then have your Facebook ads running this, and then you have your this running this, and you have your this running this, and it's so fucking complex. And the more complex it is, the more rigid your systems are, the more it's going to fall apart. The more it's either going to fall apart or you're going to have to put unnatural energy to hold it together. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to compete against this. Like, I don't want to compete. I want to compete against nature as minimally as possible. As minimally as possible. And I want to flow with nature as much as I possibly can. And that is why my business is so stupidly simple. Stupidly simple. You watch videos like this, you receive emails from my soul, and then you either do or do not decide to work further with us. If you do, you book a call and do an insane transformation call with me, or you come to Transformer. That's it. Simple. So fucking simple. And the funny thing about them is they're all set up in a way on my end that they're very fluid. I'm not having to grind and compress and stretch and contract every day to make these things happen. No, not at all. As you can see, even just with this video I'm filming now, it's like so dynamic, so out of the blue. But I've created enough systems in place, and I've created enough structure in my life. I've created the riverbank so the water can flow through, me being the water. I've created the structures so I can flow how I want to through the structures. And this is where we've also spoken before about a leveraged business. I'll link the video down below. We've spoken about creating leverage in your business versus just systemizing your business. Now, a leveraged business comes from you becoming very aware of what your superpower is, putting your superpower into full force, and allowing it to do all the work, allowing it to do all the leverage, versus having to systemize everything, create all of this rigidity, right? Create all this rigidity that you're either going to have to spend energy and resources maintaining every fucking day, or it will fall apart. I hope this has been useful for you. If it has, stick around, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. As you can tell, I'm too lit up. I need to go for it. I need to go in the ocean. I'm too lit up by nature right now. And since I have a high entropy system, I can do exactly that. All right, book a call if you want a deep dive together, and I'll see you on the next one.